Alright, you're welcome back to class. So the next step is to ensure that we have our web installation. What do you mean by web installation? Because obviously the server is serving on the web. So that's why we're having the web server, the WAMP server. So in this case, so we'll go into the installation. We already have our files extracted to the installation part. So now I'm going to explain a bit of this structure. So you see on the norm, I'm supposed to load this index.php and it's supposed to go direct to installation. However, because of the what's it called now, restructuring of the file structures, so it is I'm going to load this indexed instead of the previous index as different from the initial previous installation experience. So you might have seen videos where they ask you, okay, just Moodle.index. So you might have that conflicting issues where you are not having ability, you are not being able to perform your installation. So that's because they've changed this file structure to suit the normal Linux architecture for server web hosting of Moodle software. So in order to avoid any, so I'm going to be loading directly from there so that our installation will go properly the way it's supposed to be. Alright, so I'm just using that to explain. If you see the web address initially is http without x because it's not safe, it's localhost /Moodle. But in the case now, we're not going to use /Moodle, we're going to use /public. Alright, /Moodle/public. Okay, so because if you use /Moodle, it won't go through. Alright, so let's give that a demo so that you see what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you click start Moodle, so you see what we have. What do we have? They said required ones config.php, you're having the conflict like that. But if I say public, now you should have it load. Why? Because the structure has been changed. Okay, now you can see that when I used public, it brought the installation pack. Why? Because they've changed the file structure. So that's the difference between installing the old version of the Moodle and the new version of the Moodle. So I intentionally did that so that you will be concerned with that. So what I need to click is next, and then he's talking about the web server not configured. Your web server is not configured to prevent access to web root, root directory, blah 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 blah. Alright, so see the details out to now revisit the web root. Okay, so this is the web address. Your server is not configured to prevent access. Alright, so now this is another. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I am going to exclude this one completely and bring it to this place. Alright, so that means there are still being another restructure. Okay, it's because the one I saw initially. Alright, so okay. Alright, so alright, good. Now what I need to do is to go to this place, WAMP server settings. Okay, so Apache, And alright, so when I had that issue, it was a little bit strange because this is the latest version. So what I did was to come to my server, yeah, click on the server icon, go to this page and then load this virtual host. So what I did is to do Moodle.txt and then give it an absolute descendant. So I start the creation or the modification of my virtual host. So with that, I was able to create a redirection as to the fact that I have moodle.host that is redirecting me back to so when anytime I'm clicking on that, so it takes me directly to that. So in other words, it's brings to safety for me. So that should resolve that issue for you. So once you click that, you should have this and add it as a server name that is redirected. You can give it a name, but I'll cancel that. You use moodle.txt or whatever you want to use. Don't use .com, don't use .org or whatever. Alright, so having said that, so after you click on that, it is advisable that you restart all your service. So once you restart all your service and the service is back on green like this, alright, so because in line 2 you must also get how to solve the problems as they occur. I wasn't expecting that. So in that regard, now what you now have after you restart, this is no longer valid. All you need to do is Moodle.txt. So HTTP. Alright, so Moodle.txt. So with that, you should have that. So now that solved the problem that was to me. I was doing it manually, but they are still switched in the latest this, and they have switched their whatever the structure again. So that was why the error comes. So back to the installation. So now you see we don't have that issues again. So web address moodle.txt and um, this whatever. So I am not going to go with this because I really wanted to let it go backwards is to be inside my about at the back. So it create that for me, and I'll prefer to go with the default MySQL. So as you can see now, I have now why do you have that? So let me just briefly explain. Localhost, as it were, and in the localhost now I have this PHP admin that where we create our database initially. Remember? Okay, you remember, right? Alright, good. Okay, so let me go back 100. I log in. There's no password there already. So I have this now. Alright. So what is the user that I used to enter? That's root, right? The username. So database user is gonna be root. No password. The port. Well, let's leave it as default. So the basic thing you need to know is the database name, which is Moodle. Database name Moodle. The user, database user Ruth, and then we'll continue to go. So with this, we should proceed. So wait for it to load. So in the meantime, while we're waiting, so what I've done is I'm installing at the same time. Now I'm connecting my database with the installation file. Some of the settings can be a little bit somewhat tricky. So so instead of now having like that, because we are not using a um we're not using a domain as it was, so that's why we are trying to reconfigure in that light. So so that module.txt that we want to create as a virtual host will serve like a domain for us. So in the context of that, now you will now be installing. I guess the issue they are trying to rectify is that bringing into it like you are installing on a normal web browser that has what's it called, that has a domain procured inclined with it. So and with that we're not having any issues. So all I need to do is to allow it loads up and continue. So it will load the modular object oriented dynamic learning environment first. We'll agree the license, and you could see now that we have all this. So we're going to fix this error, because the truth is, so we've gone back to where we have the check. Everything is valid except for this now. So and there should be sodium. Sodium is enabled by default. So but these now PHP Zend. Alright, so we're going to be looking for, then ignore argument. Okay, so in that context, all I need to do is go here, look for my Apache, okay, PHP, because it's PHP, and then ini. So I am going to do Control H to find. Okay, so right, and so it says that what does it say now, that you paid be enabled as a security precaution. So he's asking me to enable it, but I don't think the value is off. Let me find next. Alright, so this is the one I'm looking for. That first one is not correct. Alright, so on and save. If I reload, okay, if I reload, that first one should be checked off. Alright, that first one should be checked off. My testimony, Jesus is Lord. Alright, so and then maximum input, I'm gonna search for this variable. So wait, hold on. As no effect when is enabled. Alright. Alright, so let me look for all the versions that we have. Okay, so let me find it. Okay, so let me start from the beginning. Find next. No. default value is off. I'm gonna switch it off on development value, production value on. Okay, and then the major one that is giving issues is this one. So I'm gonna change this to like 8,000. So the precise caution is 5,000 at least, but I prefer to have it to like 8,000 so that yes, then the previous one that I had, okay, is this, I'm not I didn't restart, so there's no point if I am getting a settings and I went to gun. So it's supposed to be off. The reason why it's not off while I on next, okay, I think there was the first one I did find list. Okay, so this was off and this was off. Alright, so let me save it, let me restart. I forgot I was supposed to restart that, so let me start all the services. My test. Alright, so pretty basic. If you are having, trying to install this, you might be having this kind of issues as well. So it's common when you're installing a new version. At least I'm doing it directly so that everybody will be on the same page, and then we'll have. So let me reload it now. This should be off. That red flag should be off. Check. Alright, good. Okay, so you see now everything. So it asks me except for this one, but that could be ignored. So now I'm good to go. So that error has been notified, and we're good to go. So so once you meet the requirement, you start the installation process. So here is where how we're going to have it installed. So in this video, all we've done, we've covered the web installation part, and because I don't want the breakage in the flow, so I did the database connection, and this is where we just passed now. So once that is done, obviously the setup is almost complete. So all you need to do is to now wait to see how it will display. Okay. Yes, now so the system is basically running the installation. But you must ensure that the first installation you're gonna do, you do that online. Okay, it is done online. There's a reason for that, so that if there's any update or anything found resource that is needed, you should be able to download it. While after everything has been installed, there's not necessary that you're online. Okay, so all we need to do is to wait for the installation of each of the components to begin. Alright, success. So we have the installations coming up. So obviously the web app is learning management system is up and running. And for somebody that is doing it now, after the first thing, you should have lesser time to install. Actually, I always love to use the latest software. So in the case whereby there's any challenges as to what the new latest software brings, you'll be able to resolve that on yourself. So the next thing we're going to be looking into is oh, all right, latest one. It's supposed to be like that because it needs, this one is talking about the OpenSSL configuration. Remember, we're not going to deploy these. This one is just to be used locally. All right, we can decide to deploy it online, but that will be that you are managing the data in your the server yourself. Okay, which can be cost intensive. I mean, you have to be in 4 hours online. Your laptop or your hardware must not die. So that's the implication of that. Okay, so this one LTE and net blocks. So keep installing all that, create both forms, different things like that. So wait for it to complete. Once it's complete, we'll now move. So in the next module, what you would do is that we'll look into the page front setup, the first use setup. So how to set up the administrative account and how to create the course, how to mobilize data, use it to conduct CBT examination, and load your course content, adopt content, infuse content, create content yourself, administer all end of that. So this is the installation part. We're still moving into the administrative part. All right, one by one, step by step. All right, so I just want this to complete before rounding off the session. So it's like 3-4 steps together. However, the next video, okay, this is what I would do in the next video. This is just deployment on this system. Now, should in case you have multiple systems that are connected to the same network locally, you can have access to that locally on all those systems. All that it takes is just basic networking skills. That somebody from another system that's connected on the same network that you are, not necessarily like you have internet access, but that they are connected on the same network. Wow, so this is the end of that. We just click continue and it should take us to the administrative and admin setup. Okay, so advanced edit. Yeah, so it's asking me to configure the admin. So I'm gonna create a new password, which yeah, so this is going to be the admin password. All right, and let me see. I'm not showing it, so this admin password, so that you can you can set up for others as well. So this is going to be the administrator. Alright, so you can force a password change if you wanted to, but there's no need to force a password. So admin underscore test at, let me use gmail.com. Alright, so just set a country, whatever country, whatever, it's not a major criteria. You can leave the time zone, so what time zone you want. So I'll just update the profile now, and then there we are. It should take me to the first glance view. Alright, so I don't want this video to pass 30-minute mark. I'm trusting that there will be speed up. Now the speed of your installation will also be determined by the speed of your hardware and then the strength. So I'm trusting that before the 30 minutes hour mark, the installation process will be completed, so we know that we're done with the installation or whatsoever challenges you might encounter directly in this case. So yes, so it's asking for site for name. Let me just see Jilo training. LMS training site. Okay, so Jilo CDW LMSTS. Okay, I can decide to customize the view. Official local LMS training site for school for individuals. Educators, and school owners or content creators. Freelancers, trainers, name it, etc. Alright, so just skip this time zone. Personally, I can change that as it's London. I'm not in London, right? So but I can leave that default because of the time. So authentication, the contact, mail, or SMTP, this is not necessary actually. So but it may hacks me support mail. Alright, so let me just say support mail for gmail.com. Oh, that's not okay. Let me just give the color of the mail of the organization. Creative Design Word. at gmail.com. Alright, so let me give that. Save the changes. Yeah. So this should take me directly to the first page. Yeah, so I have my learning management system up and running on my server. So, and inside my database, I have everything running. You see, everything up and running. Alright, so that's it. So next I'll take you to the site administration, where you can do whatever you want to do, and different things like that. Okay, so how to configure your settings outside, inside the box, the configuration, how it looks like, how to customize the learning management. This is what you can see now. So I can log out of system and I can log in. Alright, training site, I can log in. Okay, let me remember my password. I'm in. Alright, so that's that for now.